It's Wulf, and it's another 15 first impressions. This one is about XDefiant. This is a free-to-play game, so this was not sent to me by anybody, as some of these videos are. This was not a product that I received for free. It's just free-to-play in general, and it's also pretty popular, so I figured I would do 15 first impressions about it. Also, just want to note this gameplay is on PS5, and I used the PS5's capture utility to capture this gameplay, so it should be in 4K, but my computer struggles to edit 4K video a lot, so it might not be edited very well. I did actually try to edit this one using Share Factory a little bit, but then I couldn't get the finalized file to transfer over, so gonna have to just edit it on my computer. So XDefiant is a game that I've actually been paying attention to for quite a while because I think it's just a really interesting concept, and I think in general Ubisoft just overall has a lot of variety with the games that they put out, and so that lends itself pretty well to this sort of combined game. And I think it's kind of interesting too how this game's perception totally shifted in the time before it came out, because when this was first announced, I remember seeing a lot of people think that it was a really stupid idea. Like, it got a lot of negative press actually, and then once people finally played it and realized that it was actually pretty good, it got a lot more positive press. And in particular, there's a lot of people who are angry at Call of Duty for whatever reason, it seems like, who have been trying to say that this is going to be a Call of Duty killer and stuff like that. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I'll probably talk about that a little bit more later in the video. Also, this game feels like it had a little bit of a weird development cycle because this got announced originally quite a while ago, like multiple years ago, and then sort of disappeared, and then finally there was some closed and open betas of it and stuff, if I remember right, and then that was kind of when the perception of it changed. And then the game just came out within the past week or two of me making this video, but the thing is, the last beta they had for this actually happened quite a while ago, so it's a little bit odd because they did that beta, it went really well. The current game seems to be really similar to that beta they did, so it doesn't outwardly look like they changed everything, but after that beta had happened, they said that they delayed it indefinitely or whatever, something along those lines. They didn't actually give a release date, and it was really weird, and they were kind of very hushed about it. They never really explained what happened there, and there's a part of me that wonders if something happened behind the scenes that almost like really screwed the game up in some way, like if there was maybe some sort of issue with licensing something, or if there was like, I don't know, some sort of data type vulnerability thing with it, like something that wouldn't be visible from just playing the game. Anyway though, as for playing the actual game, XDefiant is a first-person shooter. It's sort of a hero shooter because the characters have abilities, although those abilities are not locked to a specific character, rather they're locked to a faction. This game has 5 factions from various Ubisoft games. Those 5 factions are Libertad from Far Cry 6, Phantoms from Tom Clancy, Echelon from Tom Clancy. I'm not entirely sure which Tom Clancy games those are from. I haven't really played that much Tom Clancy myself. The Cleaners from The Division, I think just The Division 1, I'm not sure if they show up in The Division 2, and DedSec, which they have listed as from Watch Dogs 2, although DedSec has been in every Watch Dogs game. Each faction has its own unique set of abilities, and it usually relates to something that kind of characterizes that faction. Like the Cleaners are known for burning stuff, that's their whole thing in The Division. They're an enemy faction, and they are trying to clean up after the dollar flu, and they just burn everything. So a lot of their abilities are fire-based. Or Libertad has a lot of healing-based abilities, which kind of is related to the sort of pharmaceutical, I guess, themes of Far Cry 6, and every faction has abilities related to their overall characterization like that. Something notable about the factions in this game, though, is that the Cleaners are actually the only faction in the game right now that are enemies in their normal game. All of the other factions, so far as I know, are the good guys in each game. Also, the Cleaners are kind of a weird choice otherwise, I guess, too, because most of the factions here, like Libertad and DedSec, are the main factions in their respective game. Like, the protagonist is a member of those factions, whereas the Cleaners are, again, just kind of an enemy group. But I suppose in terms of first-person shooter type things, of the factions from The Division, they do make quite a bit of sense. Alongside the factions being from other Ubisoft games, the maps are also from other Ubisoft games, and it's kind of cool to be able to see some of the maps reimagined, or I guess the areas reimagined for first-person gameplay, because so far as I know, the only first-person game that any of the factions are from is Libertad, because Far Cry 6 is a first-person game, but I know The Division is third-person, and Watch Dogs is third-person, and I believe a lot of the Tom Clancy games are also third-person, except for Rainbow Six, I guess. So it's cool to be able to see those places from a different perspective, literally. The game doesn't really explain why exactly members of each faction are working together or fighting against one another, but I don't really think that this game is aiming to have a story. I think it's just supposed to be kind of a fun conglomeration of Ubisoft properties, and that I think is the best way to do it, because sometimes when games like this that are combining a bunch of stuff try to have too much of a story, it can just be more awkward than just, hey, here's a bunch of characters, let's have fun with having them fight each other. And the thing is that Ubisoft actually has a ton of other factions that they could still add to this game, and other games that they could take maps from and stuff like that. And I think that if this game continues to be successful for a while, that it could expand quite a bit, because there really is a lot of stuff they could put into here. The main Ubisoft property absent from the game currently that pops into my head is Assassin's Creed. I don't necessarily think the Assassins would fit as a faction super well, because they're more stealth-based than outward fighting, but I think maybe the Templars could fit, because even though they're bad guys, as we have seen, the game lets you play as bad guys like the Cleaners, and I think there's a bunch of other interesting locations and stuff too that they could take from the Assassin's Creed series. And one last note about factions, because I know I spent a lot of time talking about it already, but it's just, that's one of the things about this game that caught my attention the most. Anyway, DedSec is the only faction currently locked when you log into the game. All of the other 4 factions you can play as at least one character from. DedSec you can unlock without spending any money, but it requires, I think it was 700,000 XP or something like that, which sounds like a lot, and it is quite a bit, but it's not necessarily as much as you might expect, because you can earn around 10 per match if you're doing pretty alright. So by my estimate, that would take 70 to 100 matches to unlock DedSec, which again is quite a bit, but if this is a game you're playing regularly, it'd probably take you maybe a week or two to unlock them. I am kind of surprised that DedSec are the ones behind the lock from the get-go. I would have expected it to be one of the Tom Clancy factions, just because Tom Clancy stuff is so popular and people are always clamoring for more Tom Clancy stuff, so I would have expected for that to be more of a motivator than DedSec. As for gameplay, the game plays a lot like Call of Duty, actually. A lot of people have been comparing it to Call of Duty, and I wasn't totally sure how accurate that would be or not, but it is very similar to Call of Duty. It's one of these situations, I guess the best comparison that I would make is actually Gotham City Imposters, which I know is a really weird one to make, but Gotham City Imposters was a totally non-Call of Duty game, was not worked on by any studios who worked on Call of Duty or anything, and had an entirely different theme than Call of Duty, and yet weirdly enough, the gameplay of it felt very similar to Call of Duty, and that's kind of how this is also. It's not developed by a company who makes Call of Duty or anything like that, and yet it still feels a lot like Call of Duty, which is kind of a good thing, because I like that gameplay style. A lot of people like that gameplay style, and in particular, I'd compare it more so to Call of Duty's sort of around the time that Advanced Warfare came out. It reminds me of like the movement of Advanced Warfare without all the jetpacks and stuff. I feel like in Call of Duty, there's sort of 3 distinct eras of movement, and I don't want to get off into too much of a tangent, but sort of Call of Duty 4 to like Black Ops 2 is one thing, then Ghosts up to, I guess, World War II was another, and then now starting with the 2019 Modern Warfare to the current games, that also is a little bit of different movement. So sort of that second area there is, I feel like, where this game is most similar. It also keeps it relatively simple. Even though this is a hero shooter, there's not a ton of stuff thrown at you all the time. That's one of the issues with some of the more modern Call of Duties. There's way too many things to balance all the time between weapons and attachments and perks and skill streaks and all that type of stuff. This game, pretty much, you have your primary and secondary weapon, you can put attachments, you have a throwable, like a grenade or a mine, you have your faction special ability, and you also have a rechargeable ultimate type move that depends on your faction. The game modes are pretty much your usual first-person shooter type game modes. There's the ones where you gotta like push a cart, there's like the ones where you gotta go to certain points around the map and stand in them. There's a kill confirmed type mode. One thing that I don't understand though, and this goes for not just XDefiant, but a lot of free-to-play first-person shooters and just general combat-based games, is that I don't really understand why a lot of them don't include stuff like Team Deathmatch and Free-For-All anymore. It's just weird. Like, those are very classic game modes, and yet they seem to be not present in as many of these games as you would expect. Also, speaking of game modes and gameplay and stuff like that, I mentioned earlier how a lot of people are comparing this to Call of Duty, and this is going to be a more opinionated section of the video, I guess, but something I've been hearing a lot of people talk about in relation to XDefiant is skill-based matchmaking, and the game supposedly has a lack of skill-based matchmaking. I've seen a lot of people claim for a while now that the recent Call of Duties are very bad because they have skill-based matchmaking and all this type of stuff, and frankly, I don't even know what that means. Like, I get that the concept of skill-based matchmaking is that if you're good at a game, the game will try to put you with other players, and some people complain this makes the game too hard to play casually and this and that and all that type of stuff. To me, I have never noticed this being an issue with Call of Duty. I'm pretty good at Call of Duty, and whenever I've played online multiplayer on the more recent ones, I don't have an issue playing. I kind of think this is one of these sort of keyword type things like it was when I was younger. I remember a lot of people were always talking about lag compensation. That was the thing everybody complained about on the like software and server side of things with Call of Duty. I think it's kind of a nonsense. I think that XDefiant plays good. I think Call of Duty plays good. I think it's really weird to say that one is better than the other because of some obscure matchmaking algorithm that probably doesn't actually even do that much. So I just wanted to put that out there. Anyway, that is pretty much it for this 15 first impressions of XDefiant. Thank you guys for watching. If you think the game looks interesting, I feel like there's a good chance a lot of you have already played it because I believe it's had quite a bit of success already, but if not, it is free to play, so you can go ahead and check it out for free. It's on PS5 and Xbox Series X and PC. So yeah, thanks for watching, and here's the rest of the gameplay.
Pass the checkpoint. Keep it moving.
Nothing cleans like burning.
Coming up on their progress point. We're almost to the end zone. Scratched off that grunt. Closing in on the checkpoint. Your hard work paid off, pal. Just like I said it would. Pick up bounties from your fallen enemies and make a nice collection. Three, two, one. Get the most bounties and you'll become the hotshot. It's like a roid rage situation.
Reloading!
Got a hostile hotshot on the scope. Search and destroy. Ah, that new loadout smell. Our crew's got our first hotshot. Help him live. Okay, that happened. Now dust yourself off and go burn those germs. They got a hotshot, and I'd sure hate it if something bad happened to him.
I'm in bad shape. I'm in bad shape.
That's what I'm talking about! Enemy crew's got a hot shot! Pull them off! Crew's got a new hot shot!
You'll think twice next time.
They got another hot shot. You know what to do.
Help! I'm dying here.
Get him back! Hacking new hardware. Ah, that new loadout smell. New friendly hotshot. Enemy crew's got a hotshot. Pull them off. Took out their hot shot. That's the stuff right there. New friendly hot shot. They got another hot shot. You know what to do.
New mag.
Crew's got a new hotshot. Enemy crew's got a hotshot. Pull them off. New friendly hotshot. Kill the enemy crew, take their bounties, become the hotshot. I feel like we went over this before. They got another hotshot. You know what to do. Enemy crew's trouncing us. Think with the comeback already. Take out that enemy hotshot, pal. We got a hotshot. Keep them breathing.
I'm in bad shape.
They got a hotshot. And I'm sure hated if something bad happened to them. Enemy sonar goggles active. Little mosquito. No friendly hotshot. Hey there. All right. Enemy crew's got a hot shot. Cool them off. It ain't over till it's over. But I'm pretty sure it's all over for your crew.
Deploying flash.
Reloading.
Crew's got a new hot shot. Ultra ready to go. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Whatever. You lost.